Richard and I would like to offer you words of wisdom from the 17th chapter of the book of Proverbs.
Better a dry crust eaten in peace than a house filled with feasting and conflict.
Wrongdoers eagerly listen to gossip. Liars pay close attention to slander.
We don't expect eloquence from fools, nor do we expect lies from our leaders.
These are from the 17th chapter. Receiving a gift is like getting a rare gemstone. Any way you look at it, you see beauty refracted.
Love prospers when fault is forgiven, but dwelling on it separates close friends.
Friends love through all kinds of weather, and families stick together in all kinds of trouble.
Anyone who loves to quarrel loves sin. Anyone who builds high walls invites disaster.
A bad motive can't achieve a good end. Double talk brings you double trouble.
Be careful, preachers. A cheerful heart is good medicine, but a downcast spirit dries up the bones.
Richard, could you read that one again?
A downcast spirit dries up the bones.
No, the first part.
Oh, a cheerful heart is good medicine.
That is so true, isn't it? It's amazing that thousands of years ago, the writer of this proverb knew what science tells us today.
You are right. Now we know that laughter boosts the immune system. It decreases stress hormones and increases immune cells and infection-fighting antibodies.
Very good. Wow.
That was a mouthful. That was a mouthful.
Laughter also releases endorphins, the body's natural feel-good chemicals. Endorphins promote an overall sense of well-being and can even temporarily relieve pain.
Billy, someone has written that this one you might really be interested in. Did you know that laughter burns calories? I'm just reading what it says.
Yeah, sure, Richard, sure. He added that one in, folks. That was not funny, Richard.
Well, it does. It increases blood flow to the heart. It helps you keep anger in check. And it can even help you live longer.
Wow. Well, if Jesus came to help people have life, laughter has to be a very Christ-like thing to experience. So why don't we try to give these good folks some humor medicine? Do you happen to know any good jokes?
I just happen to have some right here. Do you?
Aha! You first.
Did you disarm the crowd before we started? I just want to... I heard this one this week. So it seems that Jesus, Moses, and this old fella were going golfing. And the first one to tee off was Moses. And it was a par 3. They were going across some water to get onto the green. Moses teed off and he hit his ball, and when you know it, it was a worm burner. It went down, it was going straight for the water. So quick, he's Quick, Moses. He lifts up his golf club and holds it like this. And the water in the pond divided, and there was dry land. And the ball bounced on the dry land up to the edge of the green. Now Jesus is teeing off next, and so he hits his, and Jesus is not that good a golfer. He's a lot like I am. He sliced off to the right, and it was headed for a bunch of trees. But Jesus is a quick thinker, so he offered a quick prayer. The ball hit the trees, one of the trees, and bounced onto the green about 5 feet from the pin. So the old fella gets up next, and he hit a sky ball. It goes way up and is coming right down toward the water when a fish jumped up, grabbed the ball, and swallowed it. But an eagle was coming by at the same time and reached in and grabbed the fish before he went back in the water. The eagle swam over the green. As he was flying over the green, a lightning bolt came out of the sky, hit the eagle. The eagle dropped dead, dropped the fish onto the green. The fish hit the green, out plopped the ball, and into the hole. And Jesus turned to Moses and said, Moses, next time we're leaving Daddy at home.
I've got one better than that. Here we go. Four clergymen go on a hunting trip together. While they're in the cabin the night before, they decide to confess their worst sin to each other. The Catholic priest said, my sin is lust. I think about things I shouldn't think about. In fact, I've got a few magazines stashed in the closet that I shouldn't have. The Episcopal priest said, my sin is greed. I never put more than $1 in the collection plate. The Methodist pastor said, my sin is gluttony. Some nights I will drive to a nearby town and go to a fast food restaurant and order 4 hamburgers and an enormous bucket of fries, and I go sit in a dark place and I eat it all. How did they know I did that? And the Baptist minister said, my sin is gossip, and I can't wait to get back home from this trip. Nick, pass it along, baby. I'm ready.
Well, if you got one about preachers, I got one about bishops. 2 Methodist bishops were on their way to a meeting in Europe. They were flying across. The plane had a problem and fell out of the sky. Kaboom. They're dead. Together they go to heaven, and they're taken on a tour. The place is beautiful. Everything is clean. Streets of gold. Nobody hungry. Nobody homeless. People they meet are kind and welcoming, don't have any problems to bring to the bishop. It's great, just like we might all imagine. So the one bishop turns to his friend and he says, well, what do you know? It really was true. They didn't get it.
Here, I'll give you another chance. I'll give you a real quick one right here. Did you hear about the new restaurant called Karma? There's no menus. You get what you deserve. Go ahead, baby. Bring it on.
So there was these 2 buddies. They were hikers. They were out in the woods on a hike, and they heard what they knew was a bear. Then they looked up and they saw there was a bear coming. And one guy said, well, this doesn't look good. The other guy said, don't worry. He sat down on a log, took off his hiking boots, and started putting on his sneakers. His friend said, you don't need to put on sneakers. You're a fool. Don't you know you can't outrun a bear in the woods? They're fast. He said, not to worry. I don't have to outrun the bear. I just have to outrun you.
A woman in labor suddenly started shouting, wouldn't, couldn't, can't, didn't. Don't worry, said the doctor. Those are just contractions. Wouldn't, couldn't, don't.
It's a tough crowd.
I'm going to get rid of that one too. Okay.
That's another heaven joke. We'll wait for that one.
Hey, I've got a short one here. What do you get if you cross a Jehovah's Witness and a Unitarian? Someone who goes around knocking on doors but isn't sure why.
You best be careful. My wife is a Unitarian. So a Sunday school teacher was bringing her class into worship to show them what that was like. And she had explained it all to them, and when they should stand and when they should sit. And then but she realized she forgot one thing. She's bringing them into the sanctuary, and she says, "Now, children, why is it necessary to be quiet in church?" And one little boy said, "Because people are sleeping."
Hey, buddy, nice earring. How long have you been wearing an earring? Ever since my wife found it in the car.
Now, I have to ask your forgiveness in advance before this. This refers to a group of people with a word that I don't. It's not a bad word, but it's a word I wouldn't typically use. I would use a more politically correct word, probably, like Native American. But this is a Cowboys and Indians joke, and it's worth it at the end. So the Lone Ranger and Tonto were pinned down behind some big boulders. And the situation, as it often got to be on that show, was quite desperate. There were 500 angry Indians in front of them, and 500 more on this side, and another 500, and 1,000 behind them. It didn't look good. So the Lone Ranger turned to Tonto and he said, "Well, old friend, this looks pretty bad. It could be the end of us. What do you think we should do, old friend?" Tonto looked at him and said, "What you mean we, paleface?"
An old man and woman are sitting at the kitchen table. They look really married. I mean, really married. The wife in curlers and a bathrobe. The husband looks beleaguered and worn out. She's reading the paper and says to her husband, "The Boston Globe says that gays are going to be able to marry each other now." To which he replies, "Haven't they suffered enough already?"
I actually read that in the New Yorker. I don't know where you saw it. Short one. So this man is talking to God. He says, "God, how long is 1,000,000 years?" And God says, "To me, it's about a minute." And the man says, "Well, God, how much is $1,000,000? And God says, "Well, to me, it's about a penny." And the man says, "God, could I have a penny?" Wait. And God says,
"Oh, that's right.
In a minute."
Three mothers are sitting on a bench talking about their sons, bragging on their sons. The first one says, "My son loves me so much, he sends me flowers every week." "You call that love?" says the second mother. "My son loves me so much, he calls me every single day." "That's nothing," said the third mother. "My son goes to see a therapist 5 days a week, pays him a whole bunch of money, but he spends his whole time talking about me." Two more. You get 2, I get 2.
Yeah, he told me to bring 6, and...
Oh, have you got?
No, I got plenty.
You
I'm
got?
good.
Okay.
A Bible story, Billy.
Okay.
So one day Jesus was teaching, and a crowd brought to Jesus a woman that someone had found committing adultery. The crowd reminds Jesus that the law is clear. She had to be stoned. Jesus buys some time by writing something in the dust. And then he looks up and smiles at the woman, and he says to the crowd, Whoever is without sin among you should cast the first stone. And the crowd looks down and despondent. They start to walk away. When all of a sudden, from the back of the crowd, there comes this rock. Whack! Hits the woman on the shoulder. Everybody freezes. Jesus looks around the crowd at the back where the rock came from, and he says, "Mother, sometimes you really tick me off."
One day a farmer called the church office and said, "Can I speak to the head hog at the trough?" Claudette was appalled. "Sir, if you are referring to our beloved minister, you may call him Reverend, you may call him Pastor, you may call him Billy, but please do not refer to him as the head hog at the trough." "Well, okay," said the farmer. "I just wanted him to know that I sold a few hogs and was going to donate $10,000 to the building fund, so I was hoping to catch him." "Hold on just a minute," said Claudette. "I think I just heard the little porker come in." One more.
Well, no, some of these are too long and they're not all that. But anyway, here we go. With apologies to the people who get slammed at the end. So this guy goes to heaven. He's being shown around. His guide takes him around on a tour. They see the golf courses. They see where people live. They see it all. It's beautiful, as the bishops found out. They're getting hungry, though. They've been on the tour for a while, so they decide to go to the cafeteria for lunch. They each get a tray, and the visitor notices there's a long line, but the guy giving the tour says, "Don't worry, it won't take that long." While they're waiting, they see this guy comes in the door, looks like he's in a hurry. He's wearing a lab coat. He gets his tray, goes to the front of the line, breaks in, gets his food. So the new guy says, to his guide, he says, I thought this was heaven. I thought everything was going to be fair. People were treated equally. What's that all about? His guide says, "Don't worry about that. That's just God, but sometimes he thinks he's a doctor." Sorry, guys.
Last one, Ray Ellis told me this one right before the service. I wasn't sure if I should tell. It's PG-13. But Ray said, "Doesn't laughter," it's because it's very funny, and he said, "Doesn't laughter make people live longer?" So we're telling you this one, so you will live longer. All right. There was this woman who had a problem with silent gas. She went to her physician and said, "Doctor, this is so embarrassing. I have this problem of frequent silent toots. This may surprise you, but I've had several episodes since I've been in the office with you. Is there anything you can do for me?" "Oh, yes, of course," the doctor said. "But the first thing I need to do is to get you fitted for a hearing aid." Hey, go with Richard Allen, everybody!